Welcome to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where we discover the communities that are making a difference in the lives of others. Our self-discovery is something we are all making on our life's journey. Here you will find the people that will be your guidance, that will be your inspiration, that will be there for you in support on your journey of life. Do enjoy. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and our wonderful guest today is comedian Mickey Bell. He says that, this is what do you do when you take a man depressed? You hype him up with antidepressants and you throw him on stage and you get Mickey Bell. What do we do when we are facing depression? When he says whether an adult or a teenager, man, woman, having to deal with depression, it's impossible to manage your own. When you think about what comes with illness, low self-esteem, anxiety, and stress, most of the time it can become impossible to manage your own. So why should you reverse the course of depression? It's a self-help book which teaches us how to setting small, reachable goals is definitely the right choice when it comes to providing the necessary guidance you need to deal with the effects of depression. He is a comedian, an encourager, an author of The Course of Depression, and a step-by-step guide on healing us with emotional disease. Laughter is the cure, folks. But how do we laugh when right now we watch the news? Pandemic is still going on. Anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, anti-anything. We've got just everybody in a state of flux right now, still very much in the hurricane of hysteria out there, and it's very, very easy to get wound up. Even you go, I'm removed, but it's still very easy to get caught up. And if you're at all empathic, you're going to feel every emotion that's out there. And unfortunately, the emotions that are out there right now are quite in a turmoil. How do you find the laughter? How do you, Mickey? Welcome to the show.
Sarah, thank you so much for having me on your program. Out of all the people that you could have had, I'm just honored that you allowed me to come and be with you today.
Oh, no, we need the joy, baby. Bring it.
We do need the joy. You know, they say laughter is great medicine. And I may not be that funny, but I say that I'm better than a colonoscopy. So there you go.
And having had a couple of those, I would definitely agree.
Listen, what you said in your introduction is the absolute truth. We have so much being thrown at us right now. And for those that deal with mental illness and those that deal with anxieties already, it's just multiplying. But I think every person is kind of getting a taste of what we live with on a daily basis. And it is a struggle, but there is a way that we can live with this. And we just have to be patient. We have to breathe, and we have to realize that you and I cannot solve everything that needs to be solved by the end of this week.
No.
And so we need to take that pressure off of ourselves.
Yeah, 100,000,000% agree with you. I suffer from depression and anxiety myself. It's always a check, you've got to keep the balance and keep the check. And no, I can't go down there. There's a rabbit hole over there, and it's like, how do you breathe and remove yourself from the situation? And, I was having a conversation with my son, which got very political. And I said, there's one thing I've learned in life, one battle at a time.
Exactly.
Right. And whatever that battle is, however big or small, just that's the battle you face. Don't try and load everything on, because that will just suffocate you completely.
Absolutely. You had a political conversation. Okay.
I know, dangerous.
People are having those these days.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I didn't.
We're in the process of an election right now, so yeah.
I didn't know people had political conversations anymore. But no, the thing is, we have to first realize. Let's just start from the very beginning. And I am one of those people. I like to define things where everyone can understand it. And so, without using all the technical terms and the terminologies, depression is simply this. Depression or an anxiety is simply the fact that your mind does not know how to respond to a tragedy moment that has happened in your life. And so what it does is it starts sending you what I call false narratives. It starts sending you thoughts, trying to get you to buy into that particular emotion. So in essence, your mind is actually playing tricks on you. So what kind of thoughts? Well, thoughts like I'm not good enough, or I will never measure up, or I'm all alone, or I'm the only one that feels this way, or I need to cut myself, I need to overeat, or I need to take my life. So we need to understand that all that is just simply our mind sending us thoughts in contrast to the tragedy we've had in our life. And then it's up to us to decide if we're going to believe those thoughts that are being sent to us. Are we going to buy into it? Are we going to believe it? Or are we going to simply kind of take that thought captive, look for the truth inside that thought, and then start reversing it? That's how we reverse the course of depression, is that we simply realize you dealing with depression doesn't make you a weak person.
No.
You're not sick.
No.
There's not something wrong with you.
Mm-mm.
It is just simply your mind has had such tragedy thrown at it, it doesn't know how to respond.
Exactly.
And so we must learn how to respond to our own thoughts and to our own minds. And once we are able to do that, we can start learning how to live with a smile on our face, even though we may encounter depression.
Yes. 2 or 3 weeks ago, something happened that kind of threw my life into a little spiral. And it really was, initially a shock, and then a panic, and then, all of the emotions that you go through. And there was no clarity coming, because clarity does not come when you're in the emotion. But, I do my own show every week, Sarah's View of Life, and I have to do it on this. And it's like permission to go through the emotion. And, we have to go through those levels of emotion before we get to clarity. Well, you just need to do this. No, you just need to do that. No, you're in your own hurricane at that point, right? And you're swirling, and it doesn't matter what you're throwing at somebody. It's like they've got to go through that emotion, the despair, the madness, the sadness, the anger, the this and that, until you get to that, I've spent that emotion. It's out of me. Now, what can I see before me? And now you can actually see what you are empowered to do about it. But you can't do that when you're initially being thrown into it. And I think we don't allow ourselves enough to go through the emotion, because everybody snap out of it. I tell you, if anybody tells me to do that again, there might be a different type of snap coming their way.
Most definitely. Sarah, the most powerful thing you just said was right there, is that we have to go through the emotion.
Yes.
And the reason some of us struggle more than others is because we fail to go through, we get in the middle of it and we stay. And so going through it, you've got to keep walking. You've got to keep moving forward. The moment you stop and the moment you allow yourself to be overtaken with everything that's going on, that is surrounding you at that moment, it is going to bring you down. So that is one of the most powerful things you can say, is that you've got to go through it. Don't stop. Don't stop and try to smell the roses, because there are no roses to be smelled.
No.
Keep walking, keep going forward, and everything you do, keep focused on what is ahead of you and not focused on what's behind you.
I think the companion you take with you is, you can get through this. You can get through this. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And, anytime I'm thrown into a spiral, and there's been many in my life, I look back and go, well, I've overcome a hell of a lot more than this.
Most definitely.
Right. I had the strength, I had the courage, I had the ability. I'm just in flux right now because I'm in shock or emotion as to what has happened. And it's okay. The depression came right up, and it's like, it's a blanket that throws itself over you, and it wants to cling to you. I had to go back on my antidepressants and then just simply go through it. It's okay to have the emotions.
Exactly.
You can't have clarity into it. Yeah.
Let's just say this. You have to. Your body is made that way.
Yes.
And you say, what do you mean it's made that way? Well, it's made for when you get sad, you cry.
Yes.
Your tears are a healing factor for your body. Yeah. So when you go through anger and you have to scream, go somewhere and scream.
Yes.
You've got to get it out of your body. So it's important that you do that.
I think an awful lot of illness today is dis-ease. It's a dis-ease of the mind, which is a dis-ease of the body. I did a show a while ago about the equilibrium of the brain. When it is out of sync, it's not sending the right messages throughout the body. And the body then gets anxious because it's not getting the right information.
Correct.
And then you get dis-ease, which manifests in disease. It hits the weakest point of your body. And an awful lot of disease that we have today, I truly and honestly do believe is being brought about by stress, anxiety, or depression. And it's like one of the things that we're really looking for in life is an equilibrium. Now we realize I'm a Libra. And so I know it's never about perfect balance, but it's about the scales going up and down gently and not extremely, right? We don't want the extremes. We don't even want the extremes joy, because we know that there's the opposite, right?
Right.
It's keeping that happy medium and that happy balance. What can we do in life to keep that happy balance so that we are not thrown so off kilter?
Well, see, that's a great question. And the reason that's such a great question is because that's exactly how people who deal with depression try to live. They try to keep that balance. Then when you start throwing COVID, mandates, masks, all this other things, shutdowns, elections, whatever you want to throw, now all of a sudden, what's beyond our control starts throwing us off balance. And so I think what we have to do is you and I have to learn, like you have to learn, where is your go-to? Where is your go-to to get that peace? Where is your go-to to settle down? And I'm just going to say settle down, because a lot of times we'll get ourselves so worked up, and we need to have that moment. For some people, it's a song. For some people, they can find a song. For some people, it's maybe reading. For some people, it could be prayer. Whatever it may be that gives you peace in that moment, that's what you have to run to. And I think one of the most important things that people could do that are listening to us right now is to find out, what is their go-to? What is their go-to thought? What is their go-to song? What is their go-to moment? And when it seems like that this world is putting so much pressure on you and it's throwing you off balance, then you've got to make time. I don't care if you don't have time. You've got to make time to go to your place, to go to your moment, and just have a moment of peace.
Yeah. This interesting thing is music has always been it for me. And it's not always the words, it's music itself. So on goes the headphones. I could be busy working, the music's in there. And I have done many, many shows on frequency energy. And, we're always asking people to rise up, raise their vibration, raise their frequency, get onto a higher wavelength, because the higher you go in that frequency, the more you go to the love vibration. In that love vibration, you can weather any storm, and people are there for each other. But one of the things I realized with the correlation between the music and, the vibrational teachings that are going on, it is all about frequency. And if you're drawn to certain music, it may be the words, but very often it's just the music is actually turning your frequency up, right? And if you can turn that frequency up, it occupy your mind doing something mundane and allow the other just to bring the equilibrium, bring the balance. And you find afterwards, like, that deep breath that you couldn't do before is you're now breathing in a nice, smooth way. And it's, okay, all right, now I can see things better, right? But you have to find what it is. For some people, it could be jogging, could be running, could be punching a bag.
But that's not me. I'll just tell you right now, it's not me. I am not jogging and I am not running. I'm just,
right with
now
you.
I may be running. Now I can run to the Krispy Kreme, but that's about as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to be that person. I think though, talking about everything that's thrown at us, one of the things that I've noticed with individuals that have been going through depression during this season of everything that's going on in our world is that they tell me, they'll say, Mickey, I thought I had a handle on it. And I'm like, you do have a handle on it.
Yes.
You had a handle to handle the structure of your own life.
Yes.
Now, when all of a sudden this other starts coming in and you find yourself having to go to your music or go to that moment or go to your medication a little more, that's not because you're getting worse. It's simply because you've got more stuff being thrown.
Overloaded.
And you've got to be able to accept that. But that doesn't mean that you're going backwards. It just means you're having to endure what's being thrown at you, and that's okay.
Yes.
Because my goodness, look at what's being thrown at us. So, it's going to test everybody.
Yes, previously we talked about Afghanistan and what's going on there, and it's absolutely horrific. And it's 20 years there. and yet still no peace, no equilibrium. Immediately kind of it's gone right back, you know, and even almost worse. And you feel so helpless because you want to help people. And, you know, we look at here, we had an enormous amount of homeless situation. We've got an incredible amount of opioid, you know, situation. We've got a hell of a lot of poverty, and people have lost businesses and this and that. And, you know, you care about these people, you care about their livelihood, you care about their safety. And again, it's kind of pick your battle. One thing, it's good to care. The fact that you're caring, the fact that even you might be even hurting is good, because it shows you're a human, compassionate being.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So thank yourself for that. Do not shut that compassion down, but just look at how can you use it? What are you empowered to do? And you can't go out and save everyone, but maybe there's one thing you can do that can make a difference.
And that's what we have to focus on.
Yeah.
Only what we are capable of doing.
Yes.
Because here we're trying to figure out an election. We're trying to figure out COVID. We're trying to figure out shutdowns. We're trying to figure out vaccinations, all this. Okay. I can't control any of that.
Nope.
As much as I want to. Now, do I have an opinion about all of it? Absolutely, but I can't control it.
No.
So I have to get myself to the moment where my mind starts getting so unraveled with everything that's going on. I have to take a breath and say, now, wait a minute, Mickey, you can't do anything about it.
Right.
I can do what takes place inside my home, and I can do what takes place inside of me. So I do what I need to do to protect myself and to make myself happy. Now, that means I can still be happy even though this world looks like it's being turned upside down. How can I be that way? Well, I have chosen to do that.
Yes.
I have chosen not to allow that to affect me. Now, that takes a lot of stamina.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of motivation.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. And that's the one thing I think we have to say this. There is not a pill that will make this disappear.
Or a downloadable app.
No, you can't do it. There is not a song.
No.
There's nothing.
No magic
you have
anything.
to understand it's going to be work. And so you have to make sure that you're going to do your job into working to make sure that you experience the happiness and joy that you want to have in your life. And the moment that you're able to start doing it for your own structure and your own daily living, then when these things come out and they come after you, you're able to better to fight it off.
Be the light that others are going to seek, right? When you become that beacon of light and that beacon of inspiration, that beacon of strength, you know, then people are drawn to you, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's like, how do you do it? Now you can share it. And it's a quick little story of my son. When COVID happened, I'd gone over there because he had snapped his Achilles. And I'd gone over there to look after him. And then like 3 days later, he owns a restaurant. So I was going to work in the restaurant and look after him. 3 days later, shut down. And so, you know, there he is in his cast, you know, by the phone, taking orders for pickup, you know, and the news come in, you know, and it's like, I have to pivot. You know, I've got 33 staff. How can I do that when nobody can come in? And so it was like, how do I maintain the staff? How do I maintain my community? And I'm exceedingly proud of him because he's gone over and above, you know, with innovation, creativity. And then he had a breakup of, you know, 6 years and a breakup. And then all of a sudden it was just like, it was too much for him. He carried too much.
Of course.
And his staff made him cards. His staff came to him and said, it's okay, boss. We're here for you. Go and take the time you need. This is your time. You've been there for us.
Wow.
You provided a job for us. And he's literally got people moving closer so they can work there and be a part of it. And it's one of the things that he had to learn. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to ask people for help.
Yes.
Right? Now, it's not the moaning and groaning. It's just saying, I'm saturated. I'm saturated. Get someone pull the plug.
Yeah, and it's okay to appear weak at times.
Yes, that's
because
not a weakness.
We're so afraid that if someone sees us weak, that makes us less of a man or less of a woman.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, no, that's part of life. That's part of life. You don't want to stay weak and you don't want to remain in that scenario, but it's okay for people to help you and it's okay for people to come alongside of you.
Have you seen that wonderful Facebook talk, Men Are Enough?
I have not.
It's wonderful. I've actually done a show on it where I had to post it and comment on it because it was a bunch of men celebrities, talking about their vulnerability, their
Mm,
weaknesses, their struggle, and everybody looks at them, oh, you're successful, you're this and that, you must have it all together. And they're saying that, this whole John Wayne thing of like, I've got it and I don't need anybody, I'm just going to shoot my way through it, is
good
passe.
John Wayne, by the way. That was a good John Wayne.
But taking out the gun and shooting your way through it is not the solution we have. And it's like men feel that they don't have the permission to be vulnerable, to be sensitive and to talk. And it's this no, I'm strong all the time. No, we don't want you strong all the time. As women, we want that vulnerability. We want you to be able to talk to us and talk with yourselves. And it's like, I think the shift is happening, but I think an awful lot of heart attacks, even cancer breakdowns that happen with men is because there is that lack of permission to be able to express themselves.
Absolutely. And I think you just described what I have been doing with comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I do my comedy shows, we are up there, we're making people laugh, getting everybody loose. And then at some point in my show, I'm going to take about 3 to 5 minutes and I'm going to share my story about dealing with depression. And it's almost like it throws people for a loop because they're like, wait a minute, we just got finished laughing. I'm laughing till I'm hurting. I'm hoping they're laughing till they're hurting. They're laughing till they're hurting. And then all of a sudden they're going to say, wait a minute, you mean you're messed up? Because they don't expect that. And so that is pretty much, you just described exactly what we do on a weekly basis. We use laughter to tear down the walls so that we can deal with the real stuff that takes place. Then I will have people come up to me after my shows and they will say things like, I have not laughed that hard in a long time, or I've not had a reason to laugh in over a year, or I've not laughed in 3 years, and you just helped me open up. And I will say, don't you feel better? And they're like, oh my goodness, I feel so much better.
So don't close up.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's exactly what we've been giving people permission to do is laugh and have a good time. And they're like, can we laugh during a pandemic? Absolutely. Because if not, you're going to go crazy.
Right. And, it comes to mind the most beautiful Robin Williams. I mean, talk about talent, talk about extreme. I mean, talk about laughter, but also any of his serious movies and things also is just like, this man was so beautifully deep, but he dealt with depression all the time that eventually took his life. And so we look at him and think, how can somebody like that, so exuberant? And it's like, he chose the path of laughter to even help overcome his own. And then every now and again, that rabbit hole opens up and swallows even the best, right?
Oh, listen, I could go in so many different directions with that. First of all, Robin Williams just had some great quotes where he said, be kind to everyone because you don't know what everybody's going through.
Exactly.
And just some things like that he said. But yeah, what people don't understand is a lot of times when you see comics, and it's true for me. I mean, I knew that I had a good possibility of being successful because the successful comics were those that were the most screwed up. And I'm like, I qualify. Yes. I mean, I looked at my family and I'm like, there's nothing going to hold us back. I'm screwed up.
Yeah, that's me as a coach, right? You've got to be screwed up to understand the screw ups.
Put that on my application. But then, a lot of people don't realize is, they say, have you been funny all of your life? Well, I've attempted to be because that was my way of covering up my pain.
Yes.
I had to be sure that when I went into a room, knowing my downfalls and knowing my weaknesses and knowing things about myself that others did not know, I had to take control of the room because I thought if I can take the power away from the people, then I can take away the ability they have to hurt me. So what I would do is I would constantly come into the room, take control of the room by using laughter. And then that way, in hoping it would shed the light off of my insecurities. And now the only difference is I just get paid to do that.
Yes.
But I'm strictly still doing exactly what I did as a 9 and 10-year-old boy, in that I'm just walking into a room or walking on stage or walking into a spotlight. And I am just using laughter and humor to take away the ability for someone to use my insecurities against me.
God, are you speaking my language here? I mean, I was an incredible, I was a very sickly child. So very often, several months in bed all the time, just asthmatic, etc. And so I would go back to school and they think I would be the new girl, because they haven't seen me in so long. And I was incredibly insecure, incredibly shy. And then my mum, picked me up from England and took me out to South Africa, where she just discovered herself. And like, I'm just suddenly landed in this world that is really open and very outdoorsy, and everything is about, embracing life. And like, I had to become a different persona. So, I became olive oil, I became the idiot, or I became the counselor. And I would step outside of myself to be something else, to hide the insecurity that lay within me. But it ended up being who I really was anyway. I've always been the counselor. I was counseling my teachers at school because I channeled, so that knowingness was coming through me. And it, eventually became something that I recognized was the gift inside of me. So, we may put on this facade initially to hide who we are, but really what it is, it's the who we think we should be, we eventually become.
Exactly. We become that person.
Yeah, that strength. But that still doesn't mean that the vulnerability is not there.
But we've trained ourselves to live that way.
Yes.
And so, like right now, my therapy is being on stage. I can walk out on stage, grab the microphone, and that's my therapy. That's when I can release whatever I need to release, and I can do it in a funny way. And half the time, people don't even know when I'm being serious. But I can just release that, and that is my therapy. So, yeah, you'll find unique ways of how you can encourage other people just by being you.
Yeah. Yes. And for me, it's the shows. It doesn't matter how down I am, how tired I am, how this or that I am. I get on the shows. It's the energy, right? So,
absolutely.
It doesn't matter if you've just been hit by a cosmic 2x4, you're going to get out there all wobbly, but you're going to do the show because the show must go on.
It must go on.
Yeah. I can't watch the news because the news is just all about bad news. Fear sells. I say they take a pimple and make it into a volcanic eruption, anything to build the hysteria. But so I watch, like Colbert or Trevor Noah from The Daily Show. So you're kind of getting the news, but you're getting it with a good dose of humor, because that sometimes is the only way you can get it, right?
Correct.
Because if you don't laugh about it, you're just going to go, I must find that it sometimes is extremely hard as a comedian to take something that is so kind of tragic that's going on in the world and find the laughter in it, that, to become that release valve for people.
What's even more difficult than that is the fact that the line has shifted, where once, like, I used to watch Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show, and it did not matter who was the president. They were going to be the butt of his jokes. It didn't matter what affiliation. It didn't even matter who he voted for.
Right.
But now it's like, if you make a joke about, if I were to President Trump or President Biden, now all of a sudden I'm going to be put into a category, and people are going to take that to be offensive. And I'm like, wait a minute, we're just laughing here.
Yes.
And so there is a part of my show where I talk about COVID. And I've had people who have gotten upset with me. I've gotten some very dirty emails, and I've had people get up and walk out of the show. And they said, I cannot believe that you're so disgraceful that you're making fun of something that is so serious. And I'm like, no. They're totally missing the point.
Right.
I'm not making fun of the illness. I'm making fun of the hypocrisy that has been said around the illness.
Right.
Because there's been some funny stuff.
Yes.
There's been some funny stuff. Like, you've got to wear your mask to walk into a restaurant, but you can take it off the moment you sit down. That's funny stuff. I mean, it's just crazy, right? So I don't make fun of that. But and the thing about comedy that you have to understand is, when you walk into a room of strangers, the thing that's going to be the funniest is the one thing that everyone has in common, that is familiar with everyone.
Right.
And you have to be able to talk about these things. You've got to be able to talk about the election, talk about the president. I mean, you got to be able to make a joke about the fact that President Biden looks like he's sleeping every time that a camera's on him. I mean, and it doesn't matter if you voted for him or not. Can we not laugh at some of the funny things that are taking place? We're going to laugh at Trump's hair. We're going to, the orange man.
I mean, he gave us plenty to laugh at.
And
it was almost the white coat coming to take us away.
You've got so much stuff that you can just throw out there, but now people take it so serious that,
I know.
Now if you make a joke, they're making everything political, or they're saying everything has an agenda. And so that line has been moved so far that it's gotten very difficult. And a lot of your mainstream secular comics have come out and said, it's hard for us to even do our job anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Because everything we say is going to be taken seriously.
Yeah. John Cleese did one a while ago on Facebook about political correctness and say, it's humor, folks, lighten up. And, I'm a true colors coach, which is the 4 key personalities. We all have different perspectives, and we have a strength that is our key perspective. And I always say that if we could address all 4 perspectives, that means we're speaking to all 4 personalities out there. And we can then, have the whole and see it from other people's side. We'll understand that everybody's got a good point of view.
Yes.
Right. But we're so fixated on one point of view that we're not willing to listen to the other, nor are we willing to respect that there is a different point of view. And we've become extremely uptight because COVID has become politicized. Right. It's no longer the health crisis. It's a political crisis
Most
now.
Definitely.
And, the economic situation that goes along with it. And of course, the whole Afghanistan thing. When Mother Nature is so pissed off with it, she's just trying to evict us because we're not paying attention to her. And I almost feel that it's just a kind of a media smokescreen for us to not pay attention. Look what happened when we first had the lockdown, how everybody came together. Yeah. We realized that we are better together. We were out there supporting the frontline workers. We were out there supporting our neighbors. We were out there in compassion. We were out there, being grateful for the downtime we had to spend time with ourselves. So many shows I've done, and like that time made me pivot into a totally different direction.
Yeah,
I'm actually now doing something I really love doing because it gave me that permission. We're not looking at the gift of things. And if we look at the gift of things, we realize there's an awful lot to smile about. But we've also got to look at our media, which is very politically driven. It's about doom and gloom and fear and control and hysteria. Stop buying it.
Yes. Well, and a lot of things people say, well, everybody's got an opinion. I've got an opinion, but I can't share it. Here's why I can't share it. Because we don't even know what the truth is.
Right.
We cannot get the truth about anything. I mean, you could line up 7 doctors to talk about COVID. You could line up 7 different doctors to talk about the vaccination. You're going to get 14 different variations of what they think. And they all could be certified and treating people on a daily basis. And you mentioned that about the media. That's the thing that concerns me most, is the fact that you've got people who are literally watching the news. They're taking in word for word. They're hanging on every word that the media says, and they don't realize you're only getting one side of the story. And it doesn't matter which side you're watching. You're getting that particular viewpoint. So I don't watch it. I don't watch the news. I have certain sources that I may read just to get an update. But you know what? With my mind and my emotions, I can't handle it. And you know what? I can handle admitting to you, I can't handle it.
Right.
And so if I'm going to stay sane,
and
if I'm going to stay doing my job of making other people laugh, I'm going to have to refrain from it sometimes.
And that means even on social media. I mean, I get sent stuff all the time. And it's like, I'm not going to entertain anything that comes out spitting and spatting. If you're coming out spitting and spatting and angry and this and that, switch off. There's no truth in that. All you use is anger. Give me some facts. Give me some rationale. Let me do truth myself. Let's have a conversation. But spitting and spatting and sensationalism, that's what the media is all about. I'm not interested in that. I very much believe in common sense. Right. So, whether you believe in COVID or not, masks or vaccines or not, whether you just think it's a bad flu, well, let's treat it as a bad flu then. I don't want it. I don't want to catch it. So what are the precautions? Wash hands. What? You didn't wash your hands before?
Yeah,
right?
that. No, okay, now.
And people
Now you're
aren't
writing
cleaning
some material
services
for me.
like you didn't clean the
Sarah,
services before.
you are writing material for me. I mean, when I see a restaurant that says we have taken extra precaution to make
Right.
sure that our restaurant is clean for you, I'm like, and you didn't before?
Right. Right.
And why do we have to have a sign in the restroom to remind the employees to wash their hands? Are they forgetting?
Yes, I know. I
Okay.
know. Actually,
See, now that's the stuff that we can talk about
Right.
and laugh about.
Yeah.
But then you've got people who would choose a side over that.
Right.
Used
You know
to,
what it is that you're not looking for laughter. You're looking.
yes,
You're looking for a fight. And if
exactly.
you're looking for a fight, please take it over to the fight club. You're in the comedy club right now.
Exactly.
Right. So
Exactly.
it's okay to say to people, wrong arena, not interested.
Exactly.
So, and especially, if empathic, sensitive, anxiety, depression, doesn't matter, any of those things, they're going to switch you on and pull you in very easily. And you have to have your boundaries. Right?
Exactly.
This is my channel, my domain. If you don't want to laugh, don't come here.
Yeah, you can leave if you want.
You can.
Yes, there's nobody holding you back.
Exactly. This show is called Choose Positive Living. If you're not willing to choose it, turn to a different channel.
If you don't want to be positive, choose something else.
Yes, go and be miserable elsewhere, but just not.
There is plenty of miserable shows to watch. Plenty.
Yeah, exactly. And a million more podcasts came up during COVID. I've been doing this nine and a half years now. And it's
congratulations to you.
Thank you. And I'm exceptional people honest and open like yourself. I looked at humanity and I just want to delete, beam me up, Scotty, please.
Absolutely.
And then I started doing this and I started meeting people and hearing their stories, their strength, their courage, their abilities, what they stepped into, the service now to humanity. And it was just like, oh my God, there are so many exceptional people in the world that are doing so many incredible things. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Where are they? Why don't we spotlight them?
Yes.
We don't hear that. So this is my calling, to spotlight the people who are willing to be vulnerable, willing to share their story, and willing to share a solution, because that is encouragement, that is inspiration. Plenty of podcasts have come up with the hysteria.
Yeah.
If that's what you're into, you're ready for a heart attack, right? That's your choice. You chose to listen to it. You chose to buy into the hysteria. You chose not to laugh. Then that is your choice. Don't blame it on anyone else.
Absolutely. You can turn it off as quick as you turned it on.
Exactly. And that means even your friends. I love you dearly, but this is the boundary of our conversation. I'm not going there.
Exactly. Right? We can say that we disagree and let's just not talk about it.
Exactly. There's plenty of other stuff. What happened before COVID? What did we talk about?
We talked about our football teams. We chose a side. We chose a side. And whenever they met on Sunday, we would talk trash all week long. And then after the game was over with, we would move on to something else.
Exactly. But
and now we've become so side driven. Now it's those who are wanting to wear a mask versus those who don't want to wear a mask. Those who want to be vaccinated, those who don't want to be vaccinated, those who voted this way, those who voted that way. And we're drawing the line, and it's almost like we have to be divided in everything we do. And I'm just trying to tell people we don't have to be.
No. I don't like wearing a mask, but I do.
Yeah,
just out of respect for someone else, right?
You just choose what you want to do.
Lighten up, folks. Lighten up,
exactly.
And we definitely do need the laughter right now, because we have really, gone down that rabbit hole. And, so many people, obviously as a spiritual person, know many people who are empaths. And I have to say to them, switch everything off.
Exactly.
What gives you joy? What gives you joy? Go and do that.
Most definitely.
I have a new grandson, 5.5-month grandson, and I make sure I go over there. And like the other day, I was cat sitting for my daughter and she was away showing the baby off. They came home late. He was half asleep. She plonked him in my hands and he immediately sat there. He's 5 months and he's telling me about his entire weekend. Big eyes, so earnest. And it's like, how can you not find joy in that?
Exactly.
Go and find your joy. You recognize the fact that you are in the manure and you're not going to get out of it until you choose to. right? Wash
It's a
it off.
choice.
It's
It's a
a
choice.
choice. Everything is even abstaining from a choice is a choice.
And those that are dealing with depression or an anxiety right now that are listening to us, you have a choice.
Yes.
You seem to think, well, no, the world's all against me. I can't get out of this. No, you're making the choice not to get out of it. You're listening to the lies that your mind is telling you. And what we're trying to get you to understand is your choice to be happy. You will become happy when you choose to be happy.
Yes.
And you will choose to do things that make you happy. And so if you want to try to blame this one, that one, and everybody else on why you're in the condition you're in, no, honey, listen to me. You're choosing to remain where you are. And the way you get out of it is to make the choice to get out of it.
Pointing a finger, 3 are pointing back at you. It's saying, well, what are you going to do about it? You drank that Kool-Aid, right? It's in your system.
You can make that choice.
Yes, exactly. And, as I said to my son, it's like choose your battle. I know, when I was young, I wanted to fight every battle and every wrong in the world. And it's like, if everybody chose one battle, when you look at the changes that are happening in life, it's because somebody made a choice to stand up for that, to make the change, to shift the whole perspective, to do something different. And then it became a momentum that had a huge impact on people's lives positively.
Yes.
We could be that person, whether it's en masse or whether it's just, imagine if you just decided to be happy within yourself, to be the joy within yourself, to be the love and the laughter within yourself, and you're around people in that state of being. Are you not now being a solution to someone? Because you are uplifting instead of a downer. We don't need downers.
No, we don't. But you need to make the choice that you're going to walk away from those.
Yes.
Put boundaries, draw lines in the sand, ever how you want to describe it, and then stick to it.
Right.
Don't allow people to come across a line that you have drawn for yourself and for your own sanity. For the sake of your joy, for the sake of your happiness, start making decisions that will turn your life around. Right. And any person that gets in your way, remove them.
Right. And, it's sometimes people say, yeah, but that's a family member or my best friend, and, when I was in what I call my spiritual recovery, it was, I had to say to people, I'm not available for you. I'm not available. All the time I gave you, I have to now give myself. If you're there for me on the other side, wonderful. If not, catch you sometime, right? But if you're not putting yourself first, now I don't mean narcissistic, because narcissism uses other people for their own benefit. I'm talking about you fortifying yourself in heart, soul, mind, spirit, and every other way. If you then become that beacon of light for other people, people will draw to you for that positive energy. Positive energy begets positive energy.
Yes.
I call it the ruler effect. 6 to 12 inches. I know people deal in centimeters nowadays, but I'm an old fart. So 6 to 12 inches is they've chosen to live on a higher vibration. You've got those 4, 5s that are working very hard to get to that level. But you've got your 1, 2, and 3 who are the piranhas. And what they love to do is go over to the 4s and 5s. And as they gain that energy, they come and suck it right out of them. And this is why you see somebody who's doing so well and you go, why have they suddenly gone backwards? Because the people around them have sucked the life out of them, right? Instead of them being around supportive people that have propelled them forward. Those 1 to 3s are never going to go over to the positive side because they love the misery they're in.
Right.
You can't change them. You can't convince them. You can't heal them. You can't do anything for them. All you can do is close the door on them if you choose to live on the positive side.
One of the illustrations that I use when you are talking about trying to get to a place where you want to get in life, but family's holding you back. Think about this. Think about a hot air balloon. A hot air balloon can go as high as it wants to go, as far as it wants to go, unless it's tethered.
Yeah.
When it's tethered, it's tied to the ground. Now, you can go up in the air, but you're only going to be able to go so far. Now, the people that you leave on the ground, they want to know that you're going to stay within sight of where they are.
Yes.
But here's the thing. If you go untethered and you leave and you take a flight on a hot air balloon, guess what you do? you come back to that spot because that's where you took off from, and that's your landing place. And guess what? Your family's still there waiting on you.
Yeah.
So if you are not going as high or accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish or being able to go and do what you want to do, it may not be the faults of the heavens. It may not be anybody else holding you back except the people that have you tethered, and you have to let the rope go so you can fly and soar where you want to be. It doesn't mean you're never coming back, because you're going to have to land sometimes. Yes. It just means that you're going to allow yourself to go higher and further than you've ever allowed yourself to go before. And it's okay to take the rope off.
It's also okay to even land somewhere else. You can land somewhere else, create a new life, and then invite them to come and see it and be inspired by it. If they come and they're still bitter and twisted and this and that, then that's a closed door.
Absolutely.
If they come and go, oh my goodness, I never knew this about you. I love who you are now and what you're doing. You've inspired them to take their own journey, right? But you owe it to yourself to be the best instrument you are and join the best orchestra so you could be the best symphony that can invite others to rise up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I think one of the biggest things with depression is when we feel helpless. And I think one of the biggest solutions for depression is being in purpose.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to feel purposeful.
Yeah, well, again, I keep going back to this, but when you feel helpless, it's because you're believing that you're helpless. Mm-hmm. When you decide, like for instance, I had some people that I went and visited a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I went and visited a physician that helped me get through one of the toughest moments in my life. But I didn't have to have them the rest of my life because they taught me how to do it myself.
Yes.
So I had to find out what Mickey had to do to help Mickey.
Yes.
So yes, you may have to have an individual or two to help you get started. But you thinking that, well, I'm all by myself. Well, that's a lie. You got plenty of people around you.
Yeah.
And you can be thinking like, I don't know what to do. All right. Well, get someone to guide you, but don't intend for them to do it for you. You've got to fight this yourself.
Yeah.
You need someone in your life that is telling you how to do it, not doing it for you. And I think this is what I usually say when it comes to medications. The reason a lot of people don't want to take medication is because they have gotten a false view of it.
Yeah.
Medication for depression is not to make depression disappear. Right. There is not medication powerful enough to do that.
No.
And people who become numb and over-medicated are simply trying to get that particular pill to do what it was never intended to do in the first place. Medication for me only gave me the opportunity to come on an even playing field so that I could do the work myself without being overwhelmed. It's not to do away with it. It's to be able to help me think with clarity so I can fight it myself. The fight never goes away. You're going to have to do it yourself, and you're going to have to make up your mind to do it yourself. Medication's not going to do it for you. Other people's not going to do it for you. You're going to have to make the decision to do it yourself. So get busy picking yourself up, not waiting on somebody else to bail you out, and get yourself busy into making a change in your life. And the moment you start doing that, you're going to start seeing some productivity taking place. Now, the reason I like to say it that way is because if I pick myself up, that means I don't have to depend on someone else to always be there, nor do I have to fear about someone else knocking me down. Yes. Because if I give them that power, they're going to keep me down. But if I take the power away from them and I use it to pick myself up, then it doesn't matter who tries to walk all over me. I'm going to pick myself right back up, dust myself off, and live happy.
I always say the people that you meet along the path, they're there to give you the wisdom on how to use your knowledge, and you put it in your backpack in life and you journey through, and you'll always meet someone along the way that you need at that moment. If you pay attention, if your antennas are open, and you're never stuck and you're never alone. The universe is with you. If you open up those channels, that knowledge, that wisdom, that knowingness is always there, but also it'll always put in front of you somebody there, whether it's just sitting on a park bench having a conversation, whether it is actually a counselor, whether it's somebody that you're there to help And through that
Yes.
help, you're helping yourself. We're put always in the way. But the trouble is that we're going on with blinkers. Well, where's the answer? Where's the answer? Where's the answer? Take away the blinkers. It's all around
Yeah.
you. Pay attention. Be more in tune with who you are and why you are. You feel that depression coming up? Yeah, the medication, right? Do what it is you need to do to keep it in its place, because it's never going to go away. But what you don't want to do is give it the power, right?
Exactly.
We have the power. We have the power within us to empower others, to empower ourselves. If we pay attention to every step along the way, it's not about the destination. Life is about the journey.
You got to take each step at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. And stop rushing.
Most definitely.
It's enjoy. I mean, one of the things about getting older is the fact that you enjoy every step.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like the time to hear the wind rustling through the leaves, the ocean hitting the shore, the laughter of the children. When we're young, everything is about speed and getting there fast. And then when you slow down and you realize everything we have is always around us, there's always an answer.
Absolutely. And if we could speak to those that are listening right now who seems to think, you know what, I think I'm battling depression. I think there are some things going on inside of me. The very first thing you're going to say is, what do I do? First, I would say go to your family doctor, share with them exactly what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and get their advice on it.
Yeah.
They may tell you to go get some counseling. They may even prescribe you something. Do what they tell you to do. Get yourself on an even playing field, and then find out what helps you make it through life. Find out what it is. And as Sarah, as you have said so perfectly, it may be you using your hands to help somebody else.
Yes.
It may be a comedian walking out on stage using therapy as far as doing comedy. You find out what it is that helps you be happy, and then you arrange your life to where you have more moments of your day being happy and doing those things than not doing those things. Then you are on your journey to being able to live with depression, but doing it with a smile on your face.
Exactly. And, as far as the medication, it took me going through numerous medications until I found the right one.
Absolutely.
So, and then when I found the right one, it was like, oh, no more rabbit holes. Thank you very much. I may get low days or sad days, but I don't go down into the ground, which is great. I had this wonderful interview. I've interviewed him 3 times, Bobby Henline. He's a comedian, but he was blown up in a Hummy. All his friends were gone. He was burnt right down to the skull and lost half of his arm. But he chose comedy as his healing. So he's, out there talking about running his hands, through his hair. And, he's literally had to have flesh taken from other places to build eyelids and no lids and this, that. And yet he is such an inspiration. He is, and I had him on with another burn victim who was on America's Got Talent, Keshi, who went very, very far. She's a singer. She was in a plane crash, 65% of her body burnt. And she chose music, the singing. So there is always something that is our gift. It's our gift to ourselves, which then becomes a gift to other people, that will see us through our darkest days. It's just, we've just got to look in as to what it is. They both admit they go through dark days. As she said, one of the problems I have is the constant itching. Now, when you have an itch, you've got to scratch it. We imagine all over your body and you can't scratch it. And so, but she's chosen music and he chose laughter. And, there's always a choice, right? Even if you're in the dark humor, that is your humor. There's always somebody that likes that dark humor because it sheds light on the situation.
Yeah. Most definitely. I just feel like someone is listening right now, and I keep hearing the word baking, that they love to bake. And they're wondering, how can I use baking? Because when you bake for others, it gives you joy.
Yes.
So go bake those fried apple pies, take them to the neighbors, go bake some whatever, bake a pie and take it down to your local fire department or police station or just honor somebody. But just do what gives you joy. And if you will spend more time doing that, then you will have more good days than you do bad days.
The one thing I think we're definitely here to do is to be of service, to be a contributor. And it's not about taking, what does life owe me? It's like, what is my gift? What am I here to serve? Or who am I here to
Absolutely.
serve? When we step into that service and we actually see the difference we make in other people's lives, however big or however small, that is such a wonderful impact. It brings such a smile to your heart. And even doing these shows, I may not know who it has an impact, and every now and again somebody will say something, and
Yeah.
it's just like, that warms my heart. It had an impact. It shifted someone's perspective. It lifted someone up. It was an answer to someone. So
Most definitely.
it's not always about what the result is. It's knowing in your heart that you are doing making a difference,
You
right?
contributed. You
Yeah.
contributed.
Because I firmly believe that, when I'm worst in depression is when I feel helpless, that I'm not
Yes.
contributing.
Yeah,
When,
when I'm not working,
yeah.
when I'm not making progress in something, that's when I'm going to struggle the most.
And, as a comedian, the stage is your forte, the laughter from the people. When now, by Zoom, what kind of audience do you have? So hard because you're not, people think, oh, you just want the accolades. No, it isn't. It's the frequency of
Most
that
definitely.
laughter that's feeding you, that generates that energy, that allows you to be more creative and even funnier. So people don't understand that artists do need an audience because they're the plug in the wall.
Exactly. Well, and it's just like this conversation that we've had for the past hour, in the sense that we have just fed off of each other, and
Yes.
we've covered a lot of different thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great things have been said, but it came because we were bouncing off of each other.
Yes.
And that's what happens when you put your hands and mind to work in helping other people. You bounce off of each other. Therefore, you encourage each other. You learn from each other. You grow from each other. And
Yes.
that helps you throughout your day.
One of the things I actually liked about all the shows having to go and do it by Zoom, instead of the 2 or 3 minutes in the studio when you kind of feel it's rather facade, we would
Yeah,
see people in their own homes, in their own gear, and we had some honest conversation or honest laughter. And it would just, I felt more real. In many, many
most
ways,
definitely.
more real. And we've had a taste of that realness now, and how many celebrities say, I'm struggling. I'm going through depression. I have bipolar. I have this and that. And everybody put them up on that pedestal. They're
Yeah,
not flawed because they had this. They're even more courageous because they have this, yet they still manage to climb up on your pedestal.
absolutely. Absolutely. So we just got to keep fighting. Whatever you do, don't stop fighting.
No, no, because the fight isn't about, the bullets. The fight is about the love of life, the joy of
Mhm.
life, the being is when you step into that exuberance energy, when that laughter is happening, when you can feel when I see a comedian start laughing at their own joke, and there was one guy that got onto a subway and he just started laughing. And he's laughing and laughing and laughing, and then people are laughing at him, and then everybody's laughing. Nobody knows what they're
Yeah.
laughing about, but laughter is contagious. It's such a
Yes, it is.
wonderful release. It lifts you up afterwards. Ah, you can just feel that you've had an entire yoga moment,
Hmm.
and you feel kind of spent, but you feel good, and your cheeks are hurting from smiling. It's medicine, folks. It's medicine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We need to do more of it. So, who's been your inspirer? The,
Well, I just, just different individuals that I have kind of been watching. We mentioned Robin Williams
mm,
earlier, just in the sense of someone who has battled things like I have. I have watched other people and how they have battled.
yeah,
So it may not be the comic that may be popular, or the one that may be the funniest. I watch people and different individuals. Many of them are not popular people. You would
right.
not know who they were, but it's just I've watched them fight, and I've watched them run after things,
Mm,
knowing the obstacles they had to overcome to do that. And
yes,
so that it's been those individuals that I have watched that has motivated me to be able to go and fight for the things that I want in my life.
exactly. Um, a lot of people just see an appearance.
Hmm.
You look all right, so there can't be anything wrong, and they have no
Yeah.
idea of the battle that's going on inside. Um, and that is a daily battle. I have a disease which is a daily battle. I'm not my disease. My
Hmm.
disease it has attached itself as a companion. And
Right.
occasionally we have a disagreement. And sometimes it wins and sometimes I win. And you have to find that balance. But it's like, okay, that doesn't allow me to do ABC, but hey, I could do the rest of the alphabet. I've
Exactly.
just got to find a different way of doing it, right? So don't give in to the despair. Don't give in to the doom and gloom. Don't give in to even what challenge you've been given. Just find how to manage it, how to find that happy medium, because as you said, depression doesn't go away. All we
Exactly.
do is learn how to manage it so it doesn't consume us, that we keep it in check.
Exactly. And the moment that you start figuring yourself out and quit trying to get the opinion of others to match up, that is when you're going to be able to learn that you can wake up each morning and you can control the day that you have.
Yes, and we can. And your
Mm-hmm.
book tells us that. Reverse the Course of Depression, the self-help guide
Absolutely.
of uncovering real causes of depression and living daily with a sound mind. How do people get that? And how do people find you?
Sarah, they can find me at themickybell.com. That is also all of my social medias, The Mickey Bell. The book is available on Amazon. If you go to my website, you can get the book and a small DVD that I have produced. It is me just looking into the camera, and I am literally taking you by the hand, and I'm taking you through about 6 different emotions. And I'm listing those emotions and telling you how I personally walk through those. So if you're the type person that would like to have a DVD companion to that, you can get that on my website at themickybell.com. But the book is available in all formats just by going to Amazon.
Excellent. I'm so happy that, that not only are you upfront about your depression, because, really, quite honestly, when you do look at a lot of comedians, it's got to come from there, because it's like, you've got to laugh or you're going to cry, right?
Right,
So,
exactly.
but to be open about it, to be honest about it, especially as a guy, because as women will, but
Mm-hmm.
the stigma of it, let's take this word stigma and throw it out. Every single one of us has got a challenge that we have to deal with. Right? Every
Exactly.
single one of us. There's no shame in admitting what it is. There's no shame in saying, I struggle. There's no shame in saying to anyone, yeah, you see this side of me, but there's this side of me. And we've, this whole facade thing of an illusion of who we are, there's society's expectation of who we should be. Let's just put that in the bucket and flush it.
Exactly.
Because we want you to be who you really are, flaws and all. I love this new word, flawsome. I love it. Flawsome. We're all flawsome. We've all got flaws, but that's what makes us unique, right? It's how we deal with them, how we choose to live with them. And as you said, find a smile, find joy, and find laughter in it. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, somebody else will be laughing at you.
Absolutely. Sarah, that is awesome. Thank you for having me today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. This has been absolutely wonderful. And, there's always a way, right? There is always a way. It's all up to
Absolutely.
choice. Perfect. Thank you so much, love. And to everyone else, the backlink, please get the book. Most certainly get the DVD, because most of the time people just simply do not know how to go through their emotions. And as we've discussed today, to get to the other side, you have to go through it, right? There's no beam me up, Scotty. All right. Got to go through it. So until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. You will hear many, many shows here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. We have new shows for you out every week. Just find them on our podcast or What's New. If you feel that you have something to share that makes a difference in the lives of others, or you too feel that you could be a host, please contact me at info@selfdiscoverymedia.com and we will be glad to speak with you. Have a wonderful day.